Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Tom and this is Tom's Toys 95. I am a video game collector as well as a part-time eBay reseller, and in today's video I'm going to pick up a bunch of video games, mostly retro, PlayStation 1, Gamecube, etc. So I'm really excited to go pick those up and show you what I get. Now, the person that I'm buying these from is a Facebook contact. I've mentioned it before, but always keep contact because you never know if those people that you buy stuff from will come back to you in the future, or you can keep in touch with them. They may have more stuff that you can purchase along the line. So this guy, I messaged him on Facebook Marketplace probably January this year, and I picked up a bunch of Pokemon stuff. Now, I did have a video to that, so I will link that somewhere on the screen. However, I went and picked up this Pokemon stuff and I got a really good deal, and we kind of went somewhere between the cash price and the voucher price at CEX. There was some stuff that he didn't really want to part with at the time, so I paid over the voucher price for it. So I paid him a fair rate. So in terms of resellability, there's not like tons and tons of profit in there. However, it's a good collector price. So there's a lot of games in here that I want to add to my collection, and there's a few that I already have which I'm going to resell, and hopefully I'm going to resell those at a high rate on eBay, and I'll be able to recoup most, if not all, of my money. So what I'm going to do is do a kind of like keep pile and a sell pile, and I'll go through the eBay prices afterwards and just see how much potentially I could either make or lose on the sale. So I'm going to be paying him £265. We came to an agreement. It was £275. However, on further inspection, there were 2 manuals missing from some of the games. There was already a manual missing that I knew about, but this was the second and third manual that were missing, which he didn't realise until last minute, so we took a tenner off. Right then guys, so I've just pulled up at his house and I'm excited to go and see the games and see what he's got, so I'm going to go grab those now, and I'll probably report back to you when I'm back home, and I'll go through the games in more detail and show you condition, etc. But otherwise, I'll see you soon. Right then guys, I'm back in the game room and I'm very excited to go through everything that I picked up. So I got 17 games in total. I've got 7 PlayStation 1 games, 9 Nintendo Gamecube games, and 1 PlayStation 2 game. I think I got a good deal, but it's unfortunate that the games that are missing the manuals are the more expensive games in the bundle, which is a shame. So one of them on the PS2 is the most expensive game in the bundle, and I knew from the start that did not have the manual. He explained that before I made the offer, so I knew that going into it. However, I did double check when I sent the offer over, do they have all the manuals? He said he thinks they do, and he checked and tested them all and they all work, etc. And then just before I was about to leave to pick them up, he did say unfortunately 2 of these games, or there was actually a third one when I looked through which he didn't mention, but there were 3 games in total on top of the one that didn't have the manual that I knew about. So there's 4 games that don't have the manual. 2 of those extra 3 games are actually on the more expensive end, so it is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is, isn't it? So I think there's going to be about 8 games in here, maybe 10 games that I'm going to sell on eBay, and there's going to be, the remaining games, so hopefully 7-8 games that go into my collection. So the first 3 games I'm going to show you I already own, so therefore those will be for sale, and the next 4 after that, they're all on PlayStation 1, those might be going in the collection. And then the GameCube games, a bit of a mixed bag, there's a couple in there I might keep, but for the most part those will be selling on eBay. So up first, in no particular order, we're going to go with Crash Bandicoot. I don't really want to be opening and closing all the games and making noise, but the condition of these I will tell you as I go through, but this one does have the manual, the disc is all nice and clean. Unfortunately there's a crack on the cover, but I could get a replacement case for this, so I think this is worth around about £20, and that, as I said, is going to go on eBay. And same with this one, which is Resident Evil. So I do have this. This is the black label version that I own, and this one is the platinum version, which I'm going to be selling. I don't need both in the collection, so this will be a seller. So I think this goes for around about 20 to 25 at the moment, and again, complete with the manual. Next one, another nice game, Resident Evil 2. This is another platinum version. I own the black label version, so I will be selling this one, but it does come complete with the manual, really good condition, and I think this one goes for around about £28. Next one, I'll be adding this to my collection as I don't own it. I did see this at a game convention in March. So I went to a game collection in March in March in London, and then a couple of weeks later I went to the Birmingham one in April. And the one in London, I saw this game, £15, really good price, but it didn't have the manual, and it didn't sell for too much more on eBay at the time. So I was like, it's not really worth buying to resell, and if I buy it for my collection, it's going to annoy me, it doesn't have the manual, and it's going to be difficult to source a manual for this game at a cheap price. So I passed up on it, and it's now worth £35. And I saw the manual at the Birmingham Game Convention literally 2 weeks later, and I was so annoyed with myself that I didn't pick it up, and it was only like £3. So that's a shame. However, I now own it, and it's going to go in the collection, and it's really good condition, and that is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So I now have I don't have a complete Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil PS1 collection, but I do have the 3 mainline games. I think there's a couple more that I need, so I'll pick those up as I go. But yeah, really happy to have that one, and it's the Black Label version as well, not the Platinum version, so this is worth a little bit more. So this will be the original print. The next 2 games I don't own in my collection, and I don't think I've ever owned them before to resell either, so maybe one of them, but not both for sure. So I'm happy to potentially add these to the collection. Now, one of them is really good condition and complete, and the second one, unfortunately, is missing the manual, which is a slightly more expensive game. And he did actually tell me it was the first game that didn't have the manual, which was a slightly cheaper one, so I wasn't too fussed about that. But it turns out it was the second game that didn't have the manual, and that is the more expensive one. So that did annoy me slightly, but again, it is what it is. I got a fairly good deal, so I can't complain. And those 2 games are Dino Crisis and Dino Crisis 2. So unfortunately, Dino Crisis 2 is the one without the manual, and that is worth about £42 on CEX. And at the moment, this one is worth £30 on CEX, so £72 for the 2. So it is hard to justify keeping both of them, but I have heard they're great games, so I may consider playing them, and then I may sell them afterwards, or might add them to the collection, I don't know. But if I can source a manual down for this one, depending on how much I pay for the manual, I might keep that in the collection. But I definitely want to at least try and play those games before I sell them. The next one, again, I'm trying to collect the Black Label games rather than the Platinum games, so I might pass this one up. But this one is missing the manual, and this is one of the games that he told me was missing just before I went to collect it, and that is Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. So it's the original game. It comes with both discs. There's another one behind here, but unfortunately, manual's missing, so that will affect the value. I think at the moment this is only worth about £20. I think the original Black Label version with the manual and the demo disc, that one is a 3-disc game, and I think that goes for around about £60 on CX. So it's a shame that I've got like the cheapest version of this game, but it's still a nice game to have nonetheless. And I don't actually own it in the collection, but as I said, it's Platinum. I'm not really collecting Platinum games on the PlayStation 1, so I may sell that one and then get an upgrade in the future. So the next game is, we're going to move on to GameCube now. So the next game is Metroid Prime. Now this one doesn't have the manual. He didn't say this one didn't have the manual. I think he might have got a bit confused because it has the information booklet, but that booklet is not the manual. So it's only a £12 game though, so it'd probably be quite easy to source a manual, or I could just buy another copy and sell this one quite cheaply. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Now the next one, surprisingly, I don't have in my collection. I have played it before, but I don't have it in my collection, so I might keep this one. And that is Luigi's Mansion. So this is a really nice complete copy. A few stickers on it from CX, but I can take those off, no problem. But that one, all nice and complete with the manual, really good condition. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Nintendo points card, but I'm not too fussed about that as long as it's got the manual. It's complete in my eyes. The next game, these ones, there's a few cheaper ones mixed in, and the next string of games, in fact, pretty much all of these games I'll probably be selling on eBay. So there's 8 games left, and other than maybe 1 or 2, I can't see myself keeping any of these. So I'll just get straight into it. So 2 of them I already own. That's why I'm selling them. The rest I either have on a different console, or they're just not my cup of tea. So the first one is Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Vortex. Now I think I have this on the PlayStation 1 or 2, so I won't be collecting this one on the GameCube, so I'm happy to sell this one. I think that goes for around about £12. That one's also complete with the manual. And Spyro: A Hero's Tale. Sorry, I thought I was going to say Trail, then it's A Hero's Tale. And this one is on the GameCube as well, and that one is complete with the manual. I think that goes for £10 to £12 as well, so I'll probably sell that one. I'm not a big fan of the Spyro games after the PS1, so I don't care about the PS2 or PS3 Spyros. I do have the PS3 Spyro because it's quite a rare one, but I don't collect the PS2 Spyros. I'm just happy to have the original trilogy on the PS1. Then up next we've got a couple of cheap games, which he said he threw in for free, but I think what he did was he said he threw those in for free and added a couple extra onto the PS1 games. Because he said he was hard to part with the PS1 games, so he said he told himself in his head that he added extra on to those. So these essentially were free, and I think that's because I looked on CX and they only go for £3 to £4 per game, so they're not worth a lot at all. So I'll be lucky to get a tenner for the next 3 games in total. So we got Conflict Desert Storm, Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, and Donkey Konga, but this one doesn't have the bongo drums. So he did say he had the bongo drums at his mum's house, and when he finds them, he will let me know, and I might pick some more stuff off him in the future. And speaking of picking up more stuff off him in the future, he did say that he's currently having a bathroom renovation, and he said it's paining him to have to sell his games to afford the bathroom renovation. So he said he's going to think about selling the rest, but he's not going to do it yet. So I said, take your time, don't worry about it, I don't want to pressure you. They're your games, they're your collectibles, so only sell what you're willing to part with, and don't feel pressured to sell any more to me in the future. But if you do sell any more, please let me know. So he said he'd give me first refusal if he sells any more. So the reason I said that is because this next game, he was showing me all the games as we were going. He was opening them all up, showing the discs, and then he opened up this one, and this one does not have the disc. So he said that he was testing his GameCube over the weekend and testing all the games out, and this was the last one he tested, and he thinks he left the disc in the console, but he was busy or he was cooking or something, so it was a quick visit. So he said basically he'll look for the disc, and if he finds it, he'll let me know. So I kind of joked and said, well, when I come back to get some more games off you, I'll pick up the disc. So that's kind of like a little bargaining chip to head back at some point. So he said he'll look for the disc for that one. But that's only like a £12 game anyway, and I probably would have added that to collection. So what I'll do is keep this in my collection anyway, and then if I get the disc in the future, then I can add it to it. The next two games are really good, so they are quite valuable. So one's probably like a £60 game, and one's about a £40 to £45 game, but I do own both in the collection already, so these will be going on eBay as well. So the first one is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Now, I already have this in my collection a couple of times, but the condition isn't the best, so I bought a couple of copies because I think the case was cracked on one, or it came with a black case, not the gold case. So I've kind of like merged the two together. But I think this case is an actual condition upgrade, so I'll probably, do some tinkering between the three copies, and I'll be selling this one. So this has gone up in price. I remember paying about £20-25 for my copy a couple of years ago, and this one is now worth about £45. So this comes with I believe it's the Master Quest version of the Ocarina of Time, which is one of my favourite games, so I may have to give that a play at some point. It's on my list of games to play, but I only ever play the PlayStation, so I don't really get a chance to hook up all the older consoles. But this is 2 discs and comes with the manual as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Nintendo VIP points card, but I think I have that in my other copy, so I can, as I said, I can sort of merge the 3 copies I have together and make one nice complete copy. But this should sell for around £45. And the last game is the most expensive game, and this is the one that I knew was missing the manual from the get-go. Bit of a shame. If it had the manual, it'd be worth a lot more. And this, I don't know if this has actually dropped in price, because CEX only sell this for 52. I'm pretty sure I've seen this for like £95, £100 in CEX before. But that is Silent Hill 2, and this is the cardboard, like slipcover version. Unfortunately, as I said, missing the manual, but 2 discs, really good condition. So happy to add that I was going to say add it to the collection, but I do already have this. I'm happy to add that to the sell pile. This will help me recoup some of the money back. So there's a handful of games in there that I'm going to be keeping and adding to the collection. There's a few big hitters in there that I've been after for a while, like the Dino Crisis games. Whilst I haven't played them, I do know they are quite valuable, so I have been looking out for them. And same with the Resident Evil 3, that's been on my list because I have Resident Evil 1 and 2. So I'm happy to complete the trilogy, or the original 1, 2 and 3 trilogy of Resident Evil games on the PS1, and happy to add the Dino Crisis games in there. I may keep the Metal Gear Solid games until I find an upgrade, but I'll probably sell that in the future because it's the Platinum version, it's missing the manual as well. But most of those GameCube games I don't collect for GameCube, I only collect the mainline Nintendo games. So other than that Star Fox and Metroid game, I'm happy to sell all the rest of those. So yeah, I'll put prices on screen. I'll probably do like a keep pile price and a sell pile price, and then hopefully the 2 piles come to more than what I paid, which was £265. But yeah, either way, I'm happy with what I paid. Let me know in the comments what you think about the deal and what your favourite game is, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.